bring in our political analyst, Jon Keller. And Jon, this is an enormous day in the life of Marty Walsh.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's nice to see that the American dream still lives, Paula. Walsh comes from parents who were Irish immigrants without much, blue-collar people, grew up in Savin Hill, fought off childhood lymphoma, 4 years of chemotherapy between the ages of 7 and 11, graduated from high school and went right into the laborers' union where his father had worked, spent a long time working his way up the ranks, became a union leader in the building trades here in Boston. Didn't get his college degree until he was in his 40s, but went on to a successful run as a state rep, and then, of course, as mayor of Boston, and now to Washington as someone who was clearly a pick by President-elect Joe Biden of someone who he felt he knew, who was a close friend, who he trusted, and he's going to inherit a very difficult set of problems to deal with. I think that's why he's there. The first labor leader to serve as Secretary of Labor in, I believe, close to 50 years, Paula.
Yeah, really all around an inspirational story, Jon. As you say, he was a graduate at the age of 42 from Boston College, my alma mater. Very proud of Marty Walsh and all of his accomplishments. And I have to say, he's one of the few people in public life who consistently throughout his career has talked about sobriety and how important that has been, and you can be sure that that has helped so many people along the way. But for his friends and supporters and family, this must be, before the politics of it gets underway, a very proud moment for all of them.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I think people know that Walsh is a recovering alcoholic who's spoken about that publicly in the context of his work as a political leader. I don't know how many people know, because he doesn't talk about it much, about his work as an angel, someone who on an ad hoc basis connects with recovering addicts coming out of rehab and helps them adjust to life outside of rehab and to their ongoing battle against addiction. One quick story, Paula, that I heard. There was a guy in Savin Hill who had 3 daughters who lost his wife to cancer at a relatively young age. He raised the 3 girls by himself. The first 2 were fine, went on to college, big success. The younger daughter hooked up with the wrong crowd and wound up getting addicted to heroin. She went into rehab, came out, and connected with an angel, a local man who would pick her up at home, take her to her counseling sessions, make sure that would pick her up afterward and take her home, checked in on her on a regular basis, made sure everything was going well, really was at her side every step of the way through month after month of rehab during a spring and summer-long process. Come the fall, this young woman is sitting on the couch with her dad watching the TV news. And all of a sudden she jumps up and says, "Dad, look, that's my angel." And there was Marty Walsh celebrating his election to his first term as mayor of Boston. So he was doing that work simultaneously with conducting a grueling campaign for mayor of Boston. That's what I call dedication. And that's a side of Marty Walsh that I think is going to serve the Biden administration well.
Yeah, certainly says a lot about his character, that he would do that and not make a public thing of it. President-elect Biden made some news during the announcement when he said that he had been considering Senator Bernie Sanders for the role, but that after the election results in Georgia Tuesday, they agreed that it would be better for Bernie Sanders to remain in the Senate. Kind of interesting that Marty Walsh would fill in those shoes with his experience. When he got up, the first thing he said was how important the word labor was to him, that he had actually been in the trenches himself. And that's all the life experience he brings to this role, trying to create jobs now all around the country.
Well, look, I'm sure that Mayor Walsh and Senator Sanders share a common commitment to the elevation of working people. However, Marty Walsh has just about the farthest thing from a Bernie Sanders Democrat. And I thought it was very interesting, Paula, that today, two key economic policy nominations, Walsh for Labor and Rhode Island Governor Gina Raimondo as Secretary of Commerce, are, progressive Democrats, no question about it, but they represent a side of the labor equation, which is the private sector unions. Marty coming out of the building trades. Governor Raimondo drew the enmity of public sector unions in Rhode Island, at least some of them, with her push for pension reform to get the state out of a deep economic morass that it had fallen into. So it's interesting that while the private sector unions love the sight of, Marty Walsh, who made his name as a deal maker for the building trades. The way that works is he goes in, sits down with a construction company or a developer and hammers out a deal for the union labor. So he's very much of a capitalist. He's not a socialist. Neither is Gina Raimondo. It'll be interesting to see how that divide within the labor movement, which is not a harsh divide. They have overlapping interests in many ways. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think Biden is signaling which side of that he's on. Yeah,
very interesting. After the whole primary battle with Joe Biden ending up the victor, certainly that very far left wing of the party, the progressives, which want to have influence on a Biden administration, these selections do send a big message. Our Jon Keller, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.